28 pupils that were travelling by car and intended to continue to travel by car. There was also 10 that were travelling on the whole community transport bus. Now that's a private arrangement that is arranged with the parents in the Runcorn area that currently transports children from the Runcorn area to Frodsham. And we have spoken to the operator that operates that service to see if he would be happy to increase capacity on that particular service. He's not discounted that, and he's happy to talk to parents about the possibility of expanding that vehicle size. That said, he's also concerned that the numbers have dropped that have been using that service down to 9, I think, and it's a 16-seat vehicle. So there is an area of concern for him, and it's obviously got to be cost-effective for him in order to continue with that arrangement. There were 14 actually travelling by train, and that leads me to think that probably those 14 would transfer to a bus service, because the actual train service really doesn't provide the scope to be used to go to Helsby. Janet Mills and myself actually went out to Helsby station and walked the route from Helsby to Helsby High School, and it took us 17 minutes. And in view of the timings around the trains, we don't really see that as an option. So we would probably expect those 14 to naturally move over to the bus services. So it isn't that we haven't looked at the capacity issues. There are a number of options, and we are exploring them. We will, we're happy to continue to work on that basis to ensure that there is no capacity problems on day one. I've already given an undertaking to John Stevens that on day one, there will be representation out on the streets in Frodsham to ensure that there aren't overloading problems, and we can direct pupils to buses that have capacity. Is that sufficient for me to explain the Runcorn situation? Yes, I'd like to talk about the Springfield bus that you referred to, and about the overloading, and that the gentleman that runs Springfield, he did actually put a tender in for an alternative on a commercial basis. That particular price was a good price, but it did rely on people paying a fare. So it wouldn't change the situation in terms of we would still be able to provide the capacity on those particular services anyway, but he actually put a price in assuming that pupils would pay. So that's why it wasn't considered the appropriate tender when we were looking at the detail. If he wanted to operate it on a commercial basis, he can go ahead and register it as a registered service anyway.
I would like to move a couple of recommendations. One, that Mr. Stevens meets with the students as soon as possible to come to some sort of satisfactory outcome, and those satisfactory outcomes to be either a bus permit, which would allow them to come on the bus service from Bolton to Helsby, or the suggestion of the bus from Frodsham to Helsby, whichever is best cost-effective, best value for money.
I would quite happily second that, providing that it would displace student film.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, members, whether we could actually afford Dr. Stevens and Councillor Harrod a little bit more flexibility. I think this isn't the point that I think we're probably in balance on, is that we don't like the idea that anybody is being disadvantaged by the closure. That we don't like the fact that we're on the 18th of June and the end of term is far too close. And that whatever arrangements are come to, we want to ensure that all pupils are treated fairly and equally. And whilst we would not normally look to fund anybody coming out of area into our schools, the parents did not ask for this extra mile and a half or so on their journey. And perhaps it is that we think it's inappropriate that they have to face, if it is additional cost, we've heard a debate in relation to that issue. So maybe it's on the lines that we exhort Councillor Harata and Dr Stevens to meet with everybody, the bus companies as well, with a view to providing a solution which does not involve extra costs to anybody from wherever they come, whether within or without the area, so that we can be seen to have acted as a principled council, as much as one that is looking after its pupils directly. Do I have to add it right?
Your words are so much better than mine.
Yes, I guess that might be a good situation.
I'm
terribly sorry.
Please.
There's a danger of trying to be funny, you always have to be balancing
I've still got to put you a question.
Go on, put me a question then.
What about crossing boundaries?
Well, that's the point I've made, that we actually say that we should not discriminate as to where the pupils come from, that we take the view as a matter of principle, that nobody should be disadvantaged from wherever they come, as a consequence of the former county council taking the decision to close the school, being cognizant of the promises they probably made, and are probably still on our website, in relation to transforming learning communities and frequently asked questions.
I'll still go on with that to find meet existing pupils.
Yes, indeed. Penny, have you got that written down? Because I think we'd all nicely unanimous on. Does anyone want to object to that? I know I should take it formally proposed a second, but if we are unanimous, there is no point in doing that.
I may need to draft the exact wording later, but I've definitely got the sense.
The sense is that nobody is to be disadvantaged in our recommendation, that Dr Stevens and Councillor Harata should meet efficiently and effectively everybody, and that we make no distinction as to where the pupils have come from or their home authority. We think it's important that we as an authority act in a principled way and not seek to distinguish, because it wasn't an issue that the parents and pupils faced when they selected the school originally.
Chair, add one thing, that they all know the position before the end of term.
Absolutely. And I think it's important that we have a report back to our next meeting next month so that we can see what progress has been made. But I think it's appropriate we leave it to the officers and Councillor Harata to work out the exact details. Of course, they are free to ignore our recommendation, and I'd love to see them next month. This is the situation. Now, on the basis that the majority of the people who are here wish to take part in the Town and Parish Council Scrutiny Review, I'm going to move us on to item 6 on the agenda.
I have several points, if you might indulge me on several of them. First of all, I always find it an interesting concept when working with the Principal Authority, whether that was the old Principal Authorities or the new one, when councillors look to provide something for parish councils or work with parish councils, but without a full understanding of what a parish council is, what the constraints they work under are, and what they are what already exists for them. So I welcome this opportunity, which I think will allow us to perhaps investigate that as an absolute baseline. Because I think unless the committee certainly understand parish councils, it's going to make it very difficult for us to move forward from there.